This is John Smith from Weyburn, Saskatchewan. Welcome to the Psalming Effect, which today is coming to you from Clearview Christian Camp. I'm out at Kenosi Lake. It's July the 4th, which is not a big holiday in Canada. I know it is in the United States. July the 4th, 2022. What's significant about today is it's the first full day of camp for the camping season here at Clearview Camp. And this week is Girls Week, and I came out to help with the beginning of the camp, and I'll come out at the beginning of next week's camp, which is Boys Week, and then the third week of July I'll be out here for our third week of camp as a director, as a co-director, as the Weyburn Church operates the junior camp. And I work with the camp board as program director, so I'm out here to help some new directors this summer, and our hired counselors get off to a good start with their weeks of camp this summer. I want to share a meditation with you from the book of Psalms, as I do with the Psalming Effect. And today it's from Psalm 76. And I'm just going to read it to you first of all. In Judah God is known, his name is great in Israel. His abode has been established in Salem, his dwelling place in Zion. There he broke the flashing arrows, the shield, the sword, and the weapons of war. Glorious are you, more majestic than the mountains full of prey. The stout-hearted were stripped of their spoil. They sank into sleep. All the men of war were unable to use their hands. At your rebuke, O God of Jacob, both rider and horse lay stunned. But you are to be feared. Who can stand before you when once your anger is roused? From the heavens you uttered judgment. The earth feared and was still. When God arose to establish judgment, to save all the humble of the earth. Surely the wrath of man shall praise you. The remnant of wrath you will put on like a belt. Make vows to the Lord your God and perform them. Let all around him bring gifts to him who is to be feared, who cuts off the spirit of princes, who is to be feared by the kings of the earth. There's a couple of interesting themes in that psalm. One of them is the idea of fearing God. But I'm interested in the way the psalm is opens because of the setting that I'm in. It says, in Judah God is known, his name is great in Israel, his abode has been established in Salem, which is a shortened form of Jerusalem, his dwelling place in Zion. Here out at camp at Clearview, this is one of my favorite places in the world. It's not necessarily the most beautiful place. It is a camp at a lake that's nice, but you know, over the years I've worked and gone to many different camps that are actually in a lot more beautiful settings. And I've traveled quite a bit and, you know, taken in Banff and Niagara Falls and Jasper, and I've been to the west coast of Canada and the United States, been in the cities of Victoria and San Diego, have enjoyed traveling to Europe, seeing the beautiful city of Edinburgh and castles in Cardiff, Wales. Just, I don't know, a lot of beautiful experiences and places I'd love to revisit, and will revisit some of them, I guess. But I'm going to keep coming every summer out here to camp at Clearview. Because it's, and why is that? Well, again, it's not just because it's camp and a nice setting, which it is. But like I said, if I was just looking for a nice setting, there's other places that are, even in Saskatchewan, that are probably more beautiful than where I am at the moment. It's kind of a miserable morning. It rained all night, and this morning it's quite cool. The sky is overcast, as you can see, and I hope the wind is not interfering too much with the sound. The waves are coming in pretty steady, and they're making noise. All of that is kind of neat, though. One of the things I really enjoy about coming out to camp, one of the things that I benefit from is that I really feel a closeness to God when I'm here. And that's what caught my attention in this psalm. The psalmist is writing about how God makes his abode in Jerusalem, in Judah, in Salem, on the Mount of Zion. The people of his time had a real sense that God was present when they came into their city of Jerusalem, and especially when they came to the temple that Solomon had built, and that David had a great hand in planning. King David, who was Solomon's father. It was one of those things where when you were there, you just felt close to God. And that's what I feel when I come out to camp, and especially here at Jubilee Camp is where I went as a child, at Clearview Christian Camp, and I will come here over and over again, Lord willing, and experience a closeness to God here. In reality, and in my ministry, I of course teach what the Bible teaches and what is true, and that is that God is everywhere. As the Apostle Paul talked to the people of Athens about, in him we live and move and have our being. He's everywhere around us and everywhere we go. In one of the other Psalms, it talks about even if I go to the farthest ends of the earth, he is there. So it's not like I have to come out to camp to be near to God, but the experience that I have, and which I suspect many of us have, is that in my day-to-day life, I'm so wrapped up in what's going on around me. I have a house filled with furniture and all these things that humans have kind of made, and that's the environment I live in. I drive a car, I shop in stores, I go into buildings, I live on a street, with a line of houses, and everywhere I turn, I'm living in an environment that us human beings have created for ourselves, and a lot of times God is not viewed as being present. Awareness of him kind of goes out the window as we're busy cutting the grass and cooking meals on our stove and putting food on the table and doing the things that we do every day, putting on our clothes that we've bought at the store, and just all the stuff that happens. What's good about coming out to camp is it's a reminder. It's a reminder that God is present, because you get away from all those things that surround you with human endeavor, and you get out into just kind of the environment that God has created and that has been largely untouched. There are things out here at Kenosee Lake that, there's beaches and there's boat launches and there's campgrounds and there's things that we human beings have done to this place. But the thing that's impressive, and the thing that always strikes me, is to be here where the trees are and where the water, the lake, and most of what you see when you stand at the top of the hill at camp here and look out over the lake, most of what you see is the beauty of God's creation. And there's just a nearness to God that you feel. This is where God is. And I need to touch base with that over and over again. And again, there's lots of other places I could go. The Rocky Mountains and the Grand Canyon, and where the majesty of God is on display. But there's something else about camp, in my experience, that has really made it a place where I feel close to God. And that is the times I have spent here with other Christians, with other believers, and we have journeyed together in our faith. We have spent time away from our work, away from our everyday lives and the entrapments of this world, and we have focused on the God who created us and how He has developed us spiritually, and so this is a place where God does His work on me, and where God knits me together with other believers in a very special way. So yeah, when I read stuff like in Judah God is known, I think at Clearview Camp God is known. God is there. This is His place. The challenge, I guess, for you and I is to come out of these kind of experiences, camp, and you maybe have some other kinds of spiritually enriching experiences. The challenge for us is to come out of those places and those experiences and translate that into our daily lives, so that our walk with God is not just an intermittent series of high moments and then long stretches of barrenness and wilderness and sort of unawareness of God, but rather for us to bring the richness of being close and being touched by God's majesty, to bring that into our everyday walk through life and our everyday experience. That's the challenge. And so I'm reminded as I read this psalm that it is still important to cherish the places where we go and where we experience God, where God has made Himself very present in our experience. For the Jews, it was the temple, it was the city of Jerusalem, and so it was important for them to go to festivals and go to the various worship and sacrifice events that they were called to do according to the law of Moses. It's important for them to do that. And it's important for us to participate in the things, at church and at Bible camp and other spiritual events that put us in touch with God. But then it's vital, and this is where I've gone with today's meditation. It's vital that I translate that into my everyday life, so that I'm living and walking very consciously in the presence and in the strength of the Lord day by day. So that's the encouragement I get from Psalm 76. I would encourage you to spend some time in that psalm this week. Maybe you'll get more focused on things like the fear of the Lord and what does that mean, or some of the other things that are in the psalm. But for today, what challenged me was thinking about the abode of God in my life, and I hope today's meditation from Psalm 76 has somehow encouraged you in your walk with God. Remember that God's grace is for you in 2022.